First time I saw the Virgin Spring, I was 18. In fact, that was the first time I consciously watched any art film at all. I can imagine the impact on me. It was 1974, I believe. I was first year into the Academy of Art. And there I was. People started to organize screenings, film clubs. It was just happening. And those films were get into Taiwan almost by mistake. Nobody knew why the Virgin Spring was there. And I sat there for one time, and I was perplexed, I was dumbfounded, and I was electrified. And I refused to leave the screening room, and I watched it again. Life changed afterward. I couldn't say a word afterwards. I had never in my 18 years of life seen anything so quiet, so serene, and yet so violent, and so fundamentally questioning God, where you are, the complex conflict, inner and outer conflict of man and nature, the mundane nature of a human being, and also the need of understanding it through God. It's a grandness, yet it's so natural and small. It's just like a microscope into humanity. I was able to zoom into it, into a world that's totally new to 18 years of me. And I was beginning to search for it, and I am still in the middle of that journey. Before that point in my life, I've been watching regular movies. They don't give you quiet moments. They keep pushing the character developments in the story itself, so you don't get bored. I don't think they have the confidence in the filmmaker's world that they created. But this movie was exceptional for me, so it's the first time I got a taste of living in a world the filmmakers want me to be in. There are things you just watch. There are scenes stand out, like a too violent scene. One is a raping scene, the murder scene. The other is the father killing the bastards. Those are really realistic, disturbing violence to me, especially in a religious, serene texture. That was very shocking and disturbing to me for a very long time. There's another shot that kept haunting me, which I use quite a bit in my movie. It becomes a habit. It's when the father kneels down and asks God, why?
Du ser det. Gud, du ser det.
Usually in this yearning, questionary, soulful performance, you would put the camera in front of him and in a high angle let him look up. But it was peculiar, I noticed, that the camera was way in the back behind the father. And that really strikes me as something that's so mysterious and contemplative. And till this day, occasionally I'll put camera behind the actor when he's thinking about something fundamental important. When somebody's in a contemplative mood, I could not help myself to imitate that shot. The biggest performer to me was Bergman himself, the filmmaker. That was the very first experience I noticed the author, the person that is doing performance for you on screen with his camera. That was my very first experience, my Virgin Spring, so to speak. Essentially, it was about human conditions, its relation with fate, with nature, with each other, and with the good and evil coexist in our heart. And where's the answer? And obviously, we've got to keep making movies because there's no answers. There's only good questions. I think that vision and the cinematic power is what you call auteur, and he's one of the important ones. I could almost say that the Scandinavian dramatists were the fathers of modern drama. They are very influential, both on stage and on film. And somehow I think in the Northern Lights, in the desolation, in the cold, people get very spiritual. They get very fundamental. And the work from them was strikingly pure and complex and fundamental. I think Bergman take that heritage, and he was one of the first one that put on cinema that spirit. I think he's the one people start to look at cinema as something very serious. But I think watching that movie made me a different filmmaker. I would say quality filmmaker. Hadn't I watched this movie and some of the great artistic movies, I will settle for good storytelling. I'll settle to make people laugh and cry. But probably not to make them feel and think. Thinking something I think fundamentally important for our existence. I think that was the number one movie for me. At the very beginning and very high standard. So I have to thank him for that. I think I cannot get lazy, no matter how successful or I get or not successful. That movie, it did it for me.